I'm Jamie Heslin, and I'm the Director of Development Systems at Food Bank of the Rockies. My role is to oversee everything about the clockwork at the heart of the fundraising operation. So every software, contract vendor, gift process, analysis, data engineering, anything that really empowers the business of fundraising at the food bank kind of falls under my role in the leadership team. We had Raiser's Edge as our primary CRM, which is still the case, but we were using Luminate Online for our digital fundraising and marketing, and had been on that platform for over 15 years when I came on, and it was not integrated to our database, so the first thing we really did was integrate that back to the database, but it just became apparent over time that it wasn't going to serve our needs. I think a few of the things we wanted were digital wallets, a better donor portal for people to be able to log in and manage their donations, ideally something more customizable where we could add additional data in there to connect with those monthly donors. We wanted to make sure that email communications would be fully integrated with that donor experience so that we could be really confident in our donor segmentation with our communications, because we're very thoughtful about how we include and message to our monthly donors. We looked at the landscape a little bit, and I think there are kind of a couple of competing approaches to digital fundraising out there. There's what I kind of refer to as the Salesforce approach, which is kind of a product that's meant to have as many appended products as you want on it to serve each function, versus something that's more like an all-in-one platform. And we really felt that we wanted to stick with the all-in-one platform model. That was the thing we liked about Luminate Online. We didn't really want to go with something that was just conglomerating several apps. We anticipated that that would result in a lot of bouncing back and forth between service teams, between different platforms. And we also just felt like we didn't have a robust enough team of developers to manage something like that. So when we were looking at the market, one of the first things is we wanted to find an all-in-one platform. The other thing is that we have a really strong monthly donor program, about 5,000 monthly donors. And we wanted to make sure that the platform we selected was going to meet the needs of all of the criteria our monthly donor manager had laid out in terms of donor experience and flexibility for those donors. Because we had a really great working relationship with Engaging Networks early on, when the BBMS integration became available, we jumped at the opportunity to kind of pilot that and include it in our implementation of Engaging Networks, because we knew that if we could keep our donors in the same payment platform and not have to migrate them out of it, we were going to have a much better chance of retaining those donors after the migration. On the other side of that implementation, we were projecting that hopefully we'd end up with under 5% monthly donor attrition by keeping our donors in the same payment platform that they were already in. But we ended up having better results than that, where we were looking at 98% retention of our monthly donors after migration. With the BBIP integration, we had a few particularly advantageous elements there. One of those is that donors didn't have any disruption to their giving. They didn't have any change in what they were seeing on their bank statement every month. They didn't have, especially working with the support team in Engaging Networks, we were able to keep those monthly donors on the same day of the month that they were already processing on, which makes a really big difference for some people. It can make a huge difference when a gift is pulled, and if it's pulled on a day that's unexpected, it can cause financial problems. So we were able to work it out where people got to stay on the day of the month they were giving, which isn't typical with a monthly donor migration. Usually they get 1 or 2 days that they all get moved to. So keeping them in BBIP and keeping them on the same day of the month meant a much more seamless donor experience and much less just frustration from those donors calling in, not understanding what was happening to their giving. When we went into the RFP process and looked at other platforms, we all felt really strongly that Engaging Networks was going to be the right fit. And we had a really fantastic day of demoing the product with several members from the Engaging Networks team at headquarters at Food Bank of the Rockies. And that really set a precedent for a really strong relationship with Engaging Networks from day one. In the implementation, we were assigned a tech support person and a customer success manager that was with us every step of the way throughout the migration. They were on every single call. They were advocating for us behind the scenes. They were helping to coordinate with Blackbaud payment services, make sure that went smoothly. And we felt really supported by the team throughout the whole process because we had these dedicated staff that we could talk to and work with during that implementation process. Overall, donor experience seems better. We have the integrated digital wallets. We've had an opportunity to really build a thoughtful infrastructure in the system, whereas before we had inherited something that had been in place for a decade and a half. And I think all of those things are combining to result in just an overall better experience for our donors. We also had originally, a few years ago, moved our peer-to-peer fundraising out of Luminate because our donor experience was so bad. We were using just a whole nother platform to do that peer-to-peer fundraising. And with Engaging Networks, we were able to bring it back into the same platform, which again results in those more unified, cohesive communications with donors because the system knows that they're a peer-to-peer donor as well as the other ways that they're supporting when we're communicating with them. I think it's really important, especially if you have a small team that wears a lot of hats. It's really hard to keep track of multiple platform segments, donors across multiple systems. And when you have a system where you have your peer-to-peer fundraising and donation forms maybe in one platform and you have your email in another platform and there may or may not be an integration between them, it's a lot easier to get your wires crossed with communicating with donors. It's a lot easier to have inaccurate information in those donor profiles when they're logging in. And it's a lot more labor on the teams behind the scenes to ensure that those platforms are trued up enough to result in those effective and holistic donor communications. So having an all-in-one platform just means that it's a lot easier to query within that platform on the donors you're trying to reach and making sure that you're understanding how they have a relationship to the organization and honoring that relationship. Having email within the same platform is really important to a lot of the strategy of fundraising we do at Food Bank of the Rockies. When we're doing our end-of-year fundraising campaigns, we don't want to keep sending asks for a gift if somebody has already given to the campaign. We want people to feel like we are seeing and caring about those donations. And it's a lot harder to stay on time with that when people are giving in another platform. There are some campaigns that just have to happen in other platforms, and those are always some of our biggest challenges during the holiday season, just keeping the information between the third-party platform trued up with our email system. So having the bulk of our fundraising in a high-volume season in the same platform means that we can make sure that our content in those emails is fully customized to those donors, or that we're suppressing the right people at the right time after they have responded to a campaign. And again, I think that that's just so important for a donor experience. And I think that's why we have really high donor retention, really high monthly donor retention at Food Bank of the Rockies.